All right, and now for our last content video of the week, although you are going to have a video on your math lesson one assignment, your one-on-one instructional arrangement math lesson that you'll have to look at. But the last early numeracy skill that we're going to look at is calendar skills. And I want you to really stop and think about the real life applications of mathematics in calendar skills. So what kind of things can we do? Well, let's look at first some instructional strategies that are effective in teaching calendar skills, and then we'll talk about embedding some skills. So, in effective instructional strategies are constant time delays, simultaneous prompting, and model lead test. And then the sequence of skills that you would typically teach for calendar skills are first, you're going to apply the skills within a week. So can you find the 1st of November? What day is this? It is the 6th of November, or it is the 6th. Um, it might be that you want to say how many days until we have our Halloween party. And then you're going to count the days that are coming later. So you're going to start it today and then you're going to count forward. It might be that you want to know how long it is until someone's birthday. So I always try to pick when I'm doing those things that are really exciting for the children and that they're looking forward to. And then I'm going to apply that when we're doing our math, our calendar skills, our math within our calendar skills. So the first thing you're going to do is apply skills like I was just talking about, and you're going to apply them only within a week. If you think about what a week looks like on a calendar compared to what a full month looks like, a full month can really be overwhelming and even distracting when you're first learning calendar skills. So we don't start with a full month. We're going to start with only a week. It's a great way to start at the beginning of the year or when you're first starting to teach calendar skills to a student. And so if you're using one of the typical like school calendars, all you have to do is take some like poster board and cover everything up after that first week. So first you're going to apply skills within a week. Then you're going to move to 2 weeks. Just move that bulletin board paper down. When your students are ready and proficient with 2 weeks, you're going to move to 3 weeks and then across a month. And so again, here, if this was the typical calendar that you were using, here you could see that they have little picture symbols that tell you what's coming up. Picture day is coming up. We're going to have a field day coming up. And so again, you can work on not only on what is the date for today, but what is the date for our field day or how many days until our field day. Again, just a couple of different calendar skills that you could use. When you are teaching calendar skills, calendar skills is all about generalization because we can't really just teach, January because guess what? All of a sudden January is gone and then there's February. So we have to teach students to generalize. And this is a possible sequence that you could use, and it's one that I would suggest early on when you're first teaching calendar skills, is that you initially start by getting students to identify the dates just 1st through the 5th. And notice that I started to say 1 through 5, and I stopped myself because on a calendar it's not 1 January, it's January 1st, right? We say January 1st. So you're going to first teach the dates, the 1st through the 5th on a calendar. Then you're going to identify 1 to 5 days later, or how many days until something is about to occur. How many days until we're off? We're off on a Friday. Perhaps we have a teacher work day and you get to stay home. After you identify 1 to 5 days later on the calendar within a week, then you're going to move to the dates 1st through the 10th on the calendar. Then you're going to identify 1 to 5 days later across 2 weeks. So identify 1st through 5th, identify 1 to 5 days later in a week. Identify 1st through 10th, identify 1 to 5 days later within 2 weeks. Then you're going to work on the name of the date. So we're not just looking for 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th. We're looking for January 1st or January 4th. And then we're going to move to identifying 1 to 10 days later across 3 weeks, and then you're just going to keep going. All right, do a quick check-in. How are you feeling about calendar skills, about early numeracy skills as a whole? As always, questions, 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 bring them. I'm always ready and open for them and welcome them. All right, you read an article, Early Numeracy Instruction for Students with Moderate and Severe Developmental Disabilities. And really, this is just to show you what early numeracy looks like. We want to make sure that we are targeting those early math skills because those early math skills are the foundational skills for all other math across all grade levels. So number identification, making a set, doing addition and subtraction. You need addition in order to do multiplication. So we have to really make sure that we are targeting those early math skills and that we are practicing them. We are giving multiple and repeated opportunities to practice across a number of different contexts because the only way students can do more complex math skills is if they have a strong foundation. We're always going to use systematic prompting and feedback, whether that feedback is as reinforcement for a correct response or whether that feedback is error correction for an incorrect or non-response. You're going to provide embedded instruction in a general math class. So if your students are in a general education math class, an inclusive math class, and you think to yourself, there's no way they could do math in an eighth grade class. Yes, they can. Yes, they can. If you embed instruction. If your eighth graders are working on solving for X, could your student work on number identification? Yes, they could. Could they possibly work on making sets? Yes, they could. Could they look at numbers within an equation and identify which one is more or less or greater than or less than or equal to? Yes, they could. So making sure that we are embedding instruction in our general math classes or in our grade level standards. So if we are working on a ninth grade standard, and our student may not be able to do the whole standard, first of all, we're lucky because we have the EEs and we can look at something like the precursor level. But we also can embed their IEP goals or skills they're still working on. Again, counting with one-to-one correspondence, identifying equal to, all of those can be embedded into more complex math standards. And then finally, making sure that we vary small group instruction using story-based lessons. So you might say to me, Ty, what is a story-based lesson? Well, guess what? We're going to look at it now. So here we go. This is a story-based lesson that we're going to look at one from the Attainment Company and their published curricula called Early Numeracy. And Early Numeracy is taught through math story-based lessons. And I'm going to tell you, these are really pretty story-based lessons, and they work on multiple skills. And we don't always have to do that. You can work on multiple skills in a story-based lesson. You can make a story-based lesson really pretty, but we don't always have to. So what we're going to do is I am going to show you a math story-based lesson. And then what I want you to do, you'll be able to come back and look at it, and I will put the link on Canvas so you can go back and look at it on your own if you would like. But I want you to come back, and this will be whatever number it is. I want you to answer these questions. Again, these are quick writes. How could you use the story? And you can pick, I want you to use the story that I address. How could you use the story to support your students' learning? What would your instruction look like? And that does not have to be a big instructional trial. I'm not asking for you to script the whole thing. Just give me a broad idea of what your lesson might look like, your instruction. How would you integrate the parts of the story in your lesson? What might that look like? And and could you write a story-based lesson on your own? Could you write a story-based lesson on your own? And you will write a story-based lesson on your own. You'll see that in just a minute. So let me stop this because I'm not sure if when I click on that link, sometimes Zoom shares it and other times it does not. So again, do not compare yourself to this pretty story. This is just an example of what one could look like. Here we go, math story-based lesson from the Attainment Company, and it is entitled Sunken Treasure. The Captain Hook pirates are on the hunt for treasures. The pirates are going to sail the ocean blue to search for sunken treasure chests full of loot. Now, our students probably don't know what loot is. Maybe they don't know what a pirate is. If that's the case, or sunken treasures, you will have to stop and define that for them. You know what a sunken treasure chest full of loot is? That means a treasure chest that like fell off of a ship and like sank to the bottom of the ocean and it has loot in it. You know what that means? That means it has things like gold, coins, and diamonds in it. This is going to be quite an adventure. So you just saw me define what that was if my students didn't know. Two ships set sail. The ships have their sails up, and then I would say these are the sails. They catch wind, and that makes the ship move. Look, one of the ship's sails is in the shape of a triangle. One sail is in the shape of a triangle. And here's a place that you could address what a triangle looks like. They could find a triangle. You could stop your lesson and do like a quick constant time delay on teaching what a triangle is. You could have other examples that you could embed. Then you might move on. The hunt for sunken treasure begins. After days of searching, a pirate finds one treasure chest. And with the curriculum, they have one treasure chest. So with your stories, I encourage you to use manipulatives if you can. A pirate finds one treasure chest. Then another pirate finds one treasure chest. They are equal. One and one. So right there, we've moved to another skill. You don't have to, but we started with shape identification. Now we've moved to equals to. The pirates open the treasures chest very slowly and they find coins. Ahoy, mates! They find coins. Look at all the coins. Then they find another treasure chest. There are three coins in this treasure chest. Oh, wait. And then you might have the treasure chest and put out three coins in it. Oh, wait. They find another one with two coins. How many coins do the pirates find all together? Wow, look. That's a lot of loot. Nice work. Give me a big pirate R. Now again, that's a pretty involved story. We've got again shapes, we're working on triangles, we're working on equal to, and then here we're either working on, depending on the students, we could be working on making a set, we could be working on number identification, we could be combining sets, or we could do addition of sets. So all of that could work in here. But it doesn't always have to, your math story-based lesson doesn't always have to address those multiple skills. This is part of a curriculum. But what you could do is you could set up a template that you repeat in your story-based lesson. So it could be Captain Hook and his pirates are out looking for for sunken treasure chests. They're looking for loot. Define what that is. And then you could say, ahoy, mates. All of a sudden, Pirate John sees a sunken treasure. He opens the treasure and there are three coins inside. Then Pirate Lamar finds another sunken treasure. He opens his treasure chest and there are two coins inside. How many coins do the pirates have altogether? You could do that. And then you just repeat that pattern and you have them find more sunken chests with different numbers of coins. And then perhaps in your story, you have them sail their boat and they move to another area. And lo and behold, they find two more sunken treasure chests, and each one has X number of coins. So there were times in my class that I would just set up a template and I would literally have blanks and I would run copies of it. And that way I gave students a choice when we're thinking about UDL. I would say, what do you want to count today? What do you want to count, or how many or how many trucks did they have? So, for instance, we want to count trucks. Oh, you want to count trucks? How many trucks do we have? All right, so let's stop sharing that. Then we'll go back to our PowerPoint. So that is an example. Now you will be writing a math story-based lesson. So I want you to think about that. It needs to have a context that it occurs in, a location, some kind of event that it's happening with. Then you need to know, you have to know what your target skill is. I am working on number identification. I am working on simple addition. I am working on making a set or making patterns or extending a pattern. And then you're going to write your story related to that. Because we're only going to be focusing on one skill with our story-based lessons, I want you just to make a template or write it once and then repeat that template so that it's easy on you. You're not making work harder than it needs to be. All right. So that link will be on Canvas for you. And what I want you to do is I want you then to go and answer the following questions. How could you use the story that we just looked at to support your students' learning? And you can talk about just one part of it. You don't have to refer to the whole story if you don't want to. What would your instruction look like? This is not, I don't need all the attentional cue, the task directions, although you probably need the task direction, but I don't need the whole instructional trial. I just want an overall view of what it might look like. Remember, these are quick writes. And then how would you integrate the parts of the story in your lesson? So perhaps you're teaching a lesson and then you're integrating that story. And then could you write a story-based lesson on your own? And the answer is yes, you can, because you will. Let me click out of this because for some reason, there we go. Now let me try again. I don't know why my taskbar shows up on the top sometimes. So let's do that. There we go. All right. Also on Canvas, I am going to put a link to early numeracy, or the early numeracy curriculum. And as you scroll down, you're going to see where it says like research, and there's going to be a place that it says samples. If you want to go in and dig into other parts, you can. I'm going to give you the link to it as a whole. And so I'm going to show you where it is. I'll put a picture on Canvas, and then I want you to go and review the curriculum. This is part of your homework, is to review the curriculum. And then for your last question, it will be, give me thoughts on it. What did you see? What did you think? Could you implement it? You can even look for things in the teacher's manual. It's going to show you they use constant time delay in early numeracy curriculum. They use system of least prompts, or you would use it if you were implementing that curriculum in your classroom. So here is just again an example of what it might look like. You'll be able to look at this. Here are the skills that it works on, several of the skills. It works on more skills than this. These are just some examples here. Here are the rest of them. And then I want you to take a shot at writing a story-based lesson. You're not going to do it in a group of three. You're going to do it on your own. So this will be the last task for the week, is to write a story-based lesson. And you only need to write one page, just one page that would cover this. And so I need you to tell me, what is the context? So are you at a birthday party and you're getting balloons? Or are you at a parade and they're throwing candy out? Whatever it is that you can think of. It doesn't have to be one of those. Come up with a context. Write a short story that embeds an early numeracy skill. You can create sets, you can compare sets, you could be counting with one-to-one correspondence, you could make groups that are equal, whatever skill you want to choose. But I need to know what that math objective is. So let me know what the focus skill is for your math story-based lesson. And then I want you to come up with just one little activity that you could use that story in. And it could be that you're teaching the skill, and then you stop at a point, and that's the activity that you do. So again, I want you to use some kind of visuals or manipulative. So this is a think. This is a let's think about it. But I want you to know that we're going to put you, one of the first things we'll do is to go into our breakout groups, and you're going to share and talk through these with a friend. So you'll share them not in class, but with your breakout groups, okay?